There is a very quiet kind of pain, the pain of praying and still feeling exhausted inside. You close your eyes, you ask God for change, for peace, for direction, for strength. But a few hours later, the anxiety returns, the fear returns, the same dark thoughts return, and then something subtle appears, a silent guilt. Maybe my faith is too weak. Maybe I'm disappointing God. Maybe I'm praying wrong. And strangely, many people truly love God, but live internally trapped in emotional warfare. They read scripture, but their mind remains restless. They listen to sermons, but their heart still feels unsafe. They pray every day, but their nervous system stays in survival mode. Until you realize something uncomfortable. It is possible to speak to God while your mind is still being trained by fear. And maybe the problem was never the absence of prayer. Maybe the problem is that your mind has been hearing fear more often than it hears truth. Because there is something neuroscience is only now beginning to explain that Paul already revealed 2,000 years ago. Faith comes by hearing. Romans 10:17. Notice the depth of this. Faith is not only about belief, it is shaped by what you repeatedly hear, what enters your awareness, what becomes familiar in your inner dialogue, what silently defines your mental environment. And here is the key. The human brain is built on repetition, not intensity. Repetition. So if, day after day, you repeat, "I can't," nothing changes. My life is stuck. Something bad is coming. Your nervous system slowly begins to turn fear into identity, and maybe, for the first time, you are beginning to understand why so many people pray, but still feel internally at war. Today, you will understand what prayer really is, how it shapes the mind, why words affect your physiology, and why Jesus was teaching something far deeper than religion. He was teaching consciousness. Many people turned prayer into verbal desperation. They pray, but remain internally panicked. They ask for peace, but feed anxiety all day long. 5 minutes speaking to God, followed by 15 hours listening to fear. And without realizing it, they live in emotional contradiction. Because the brain does not respond only to what you want. It responds to what you repeatedly reinforce. Your nervous system is constantly asking, what is familiar here? What should I prioritize? What feels like danger? What feels like truth? That is why Jesus said, "Do not worry about tomorrow." Matthew 6:34. This was not just spiritual advice. It was a statement about internal state regulation. Because anxiety is what happens when the mind begins living in imagined futures, as if they are already happening. And biologically, the body believes it. Heart rate increases, breathing becomes shallow, cortisol rises, the brain enters hypervigilance. You begin interpreting life through threat, and a mind in survival mode cannot perceive direction clearly. Maybe that is why many people pray, but still cannot feel peace, because internally they are still in warfare. There is a quiet lie that destroys many people, the belief that faith must feel intense, but faith rarely begins as emotion. Most of the time, it begins as repetition. Romans says, faith comes by hearing, hearing again, hearing continuously. Because God understands something about the human mind. What enters repeatedly goes deeper. Neuroscience calls this neuroplasticity. The brain rewires itself based on repeated experience. Repeated thoughts become neural highways. That is why fear can feel so strong, because it may have been practiced for years. You wake up worried, you move through the day worried, you fall asleep worried. Fear becomes a neurological habit, and then the mind says, "This is just who I am." But it is not. It is a trained pathway. And here is the hope. The brain was designed for renewal. The mind can learn peace. The body can learn safety. The consciousness can relearn trust. That is why Jesus emphasized abiding, remaining, staying connected, staying in truth. Because transformation is not a moment, it is continuous exposure. There is a reason Psalms were sung, a reason Jesus spoke declarations aloud, a reason spoken words shape human emotions so deeply, because voice has physiological impact. When you speak out loud, 3 systems activate at once: thought, hearing, and language production. Your brain literally listens to you. And here is the most important part. The voice that influences you the most is your own. So imagine the impact of someone repeating daily, "I am a failure. Nothing works. I always mess things up." The nervous system absorbs it as a pattern. Now contrast that with, "The Lord is my shepherd. God has not given me a spirit of fear. I can do all things through Christ." You are forming new neural associations, new emotional responses, new internal states. This is not superstition. It is alignment between consciousness, language, emotion, and physiology. Maybe prayer is not about empty repetition. Maybe it is about alignment. Many people pray trying to convince God, but prayer was never about convincing God. Prayer is about reorganizing you, because God does not need persuasion about your pain, but your mind needs relearning. Jesus demonstrated something very different from modern emotional urgency. Before major decisions, he withdrew into silence. He slowed down. He became still. He observed. Notice this. The Son of God did not live in urgency, even in chaos. He remained present, because presence is power. A noisy mind cannot perceive direction. A fragmented mind cannot discern truth. Maybe that is why many people say, "God doesn't speak to me." But maybe it is not absence of answer. Maybe it is excess of noise, notifications, comparison, catastrophic thinking, constant stimulation, emotional overload. The nervous system becomes saturated and inner sensitivity disappears. And here is something profound. What you repeatedly contemplate becomes your perceptual reality. If you contemplate fear, your brain filters danger everywhere. If you contemplate scarcity, life feels limited everywhere. But when you consistently dwell in truth, your perception begins to shift, not because reality changed instantly, but because you changed the way you see it. So how do you actually pray correctly? First, prayer is not performance. You do not need perfect words. Prayer is conscious honesty. It is presence without escape. Second, prayer is not only speaking, it is also receiving. Many people talk endlessly, but never stay still enough to feel. Sometimes the deepest prayer is silence, breathing, calming the body, slowing the mind, allowing internal warfare to settle. Third, pray with emotional coherence. This changes everything. You cannot ask for peace while feeding chaos all day long. You cannot declare trust while rehearsing fear internally. Prayer begins with words, but is completed in attention. Fourth, use conscious repetition. Read scripture repeatedly. Speak truth aloud. Listen to words that strengthen your mind. Guard what enters your nervous system, because what you consistently hear becomes your internal atmosphere. And finally, understand what faith truly is. Faith is not denial of pain. Faith is maintaining peace while life is still reorganizing. It is your nervous system slowing down while uncertainty still exists. It is continuing to build without immediate evidence. It is refusing to let fear become the dominant voice within you. Maybe you have spent years trying to change your life without realizing you first needed to change the internal state interpreting it. Maybe the problem was never that God was not hearing you. Maybe you were simply trained to hear fear more than truth. But now you understand something deeper. The mind becomes what it repeatedly hears, and that changes everything. Because every time you choose truth, something invisible begins to shift within you. New pathways, new emotional responses, new perception, new consciousness. Slowly, peace stops feeling distant and starts becoming familiar. Jesus never promised the absence of storms, but he taught that there is an internal place where chaos no longer governs you. And maybe true prayer is not just asking God to change your circumstances. Maybe it is allowing God to reorganize how your mind experiences reality. If this message spoke to you, write in the comments, "I choose to hear the truth." And maybe this is the first time in a long time your mind begins to step out of war and into peace. Today you realize that your mind responds to what you repeat, and that the teachings of Jesus aren't just inspiration, they are direction for your consciousness. They shape maturity, they build discernment, they develop a stable mind, one that isn't dependent on circumstances. But transformation doesn't happen just because you understand something. It begins with a decision, and it's solidified through small actions, repeated every single day. A video can awaken you, but consistency is what rewires you. That's how the mind is reprogrammed. That's how emotional independence is formed. That's how you move out of internal scarcity and begin to live with clarity, stability, and abundance of awareness. And from that abundance comes a lighter life, more inwardly prosperous, less controlled by fear, more aligned with purpose. Now here's the turning point. If you leave this moment and change nothing, your mind will keep reinforcing yesterday's pathways. And yesterday's pathways produce yesterday's results. But if you begin today, even with one simple step, a new structure starts to form. What you do in the next 24 hours begins shaping the direction of the next few months. If you want to step out of the anxiety cycle, if you want to anchor your mind in truth daily and build a life that feels steady, light, and inwardly prosperous, I've organized a practical path to help you do exactly that. This isn't about more information. It's about training. It's about guided consistency. It's about intentionally rewiring your mind. If something in you resonated with this, don't ignore that pull. If you feel ready to go deeper, access is available through the link in the description. Not because you need to buy something, but because this might be the moment you choose to begin differently. It's a next step, but it could be the beginning of an entirely new internal foundation.